At the Halloway family investment dinner, my father-in-law, Braddock Halloway, laughs in front of elite guests. He dismisses my company, Vance Precision Solutions, calling it a hobby pretending to be a business. I sit there frozen and humiliated. I am silently watching him destroy my credibility in real time. My husband, Jace Halloway, says nothing as Braddock publicly questions how I even afford office rent. I feel something inside me shift, not anger, but a quiet resolve. I realize this humiliation is only the beginning. Braddock raises a toast to real empire builders. He has no idea my phone already holds the first email that could eventually collapse his entire legacy. The room is filled with the smell of expensive steak and the sound of clinking crystal glasses. Every person at the table is a millionaire or billionaire. Braddock loves to be the center of attention. He looks at me with a smirk that says I do not belong here. I grip my napkin tightly under the table. Jace keeps eating his dinner as if his father is not tearing me apart. I look at the screen of my phone as a notification light blinks. It is a message from a contact I made months ago. The message contains data about Halloway Logistics Group. Braddock is so busy laughing that he cannot see the trap. I leave the dinner smiling politely. I act like the perfect daughter-in-law while secretly reviewing financial reports in the car. These reports show Halloway Logistics Group is bleeding money through 3 hidden debt channels. Braddock does not know I have been tracking these for months. Jace notices my silence as he drives us home. He assumes I am just embarrassed about the dinner. He does not realize I have already begun mapping his father's financial weak points. I look out the window at the passing city lights. Every building I see reminds me of the power that money holds. Braddock thinks he is a king, but he is standing on a mountain of unpaid loans. He has been moving money between accounts to hide the truth from the board of directors. I have a degree in forensic accounting that I never told him about. To him, I am just the girl who married his son. To the world, my small business is just a tech startup. But Vance Precision Solutions is actually a software firm that tracks supply chain inefficiency. I found his company's mistakes because my software flagged them automatically. That night, I receive a call from a private number. The voice on the other end offers me access to a distressed asset portfolio. It is tied directly to Braddock's company. A private equity broker informs me that Halloway Logistics is quietly seeking emergency buyers. No one is willing to touch the company because of its toxic leadership. Braddock has chased away every good manager he ever had. I pretend to be disinterested while taking detailed notes on my laptop. I realize Braddock's arrogance has pushed his empire to the very edge of a cliff. When I hang up the phone, I whisper to myself that he just mocked the only person willing to save him. The irony is almost too much to handle. He thinks I am a mouse, but I am the one with the cheese. I spend the rest of the night looking at the debt structure. Braddock took out massive loans to expand into the European market, but the expansion failed. He lied to the banks about his revenue. If the banks find out, they will call on the loans immediately. He is desperate for cash, which is why he was showing off so much at the dinner. It was a performance to hide his fear. I start drafting a plan to acquire the debt. If I own the debt, I own Braddock. I look at my sleeping husband and wonder whose side he will take. He is a good man, but he is blinded by his father's shadow. I have to do this alone. Jace proudly defends his father during our breakfast the next morning. He tells me I should respect Braddock's experience and long history in the industry. He is unaware I am already analyzing liquidation pathways for the company he is praising. I smile and say nothing, letting him believe I am still insignificant and hurt by the comments. I nod my head as he talks about his father's brilliant mind. But inside, I decide I will not warn him when the collapse begins. Jace needs to see the truth on his own. I cannot be the one to break his heart. I head to my office downtown. It is a small space, but it is efficient. My team is small, but they are the best coders in the city. I tell them to focus all our server power on Halloway Logistics public data. We need to find every vendor they owe money to. If I can convince the vendors to sell their invoices to me, I can squeeze Braddock from the outside. My assistant brings me a coffee and asks why I am so focused on a logistics firm. I tell her it is just a project. I don't want anyone to know my real goal yet. The walls have ears, and Braddock has friends everywhere. I have to be a ghost in the system. I secretly hired an independent auditor under a shell consultancy to review Halloway logistics. This auditor is a man I trust who doesn't mind working in the shadows. He spends a week digging through the public filings and leaked memos I provided. He uncovers forged vendor contracts and inflated transportation invoices. These are serious crimes. The auditor calls me on a secure line to give me the news. He warns me the company is only weeks away from a total liquidity failure. They are out of cash and out of time. I realize Braddock's empire is not strong. It is just loud. The forgery is the most shocking part. Braddock has been signing names of people who don't even work for the vendors anymore. He is trying to show the board that he has more business than he actually does. It is a house of cards waiting for a breeze. I feel a chill go down my spine as I read the report. This man could go to prison for what he has done. I wonder if my husband knows any of this. Jace works in the marketing department, so he is far away from the accounting books. I hope he is innocent. I start to wonder if I should just go to the police, but I want the company. I want to build something better. At a public networking event a few days later, Braddock strikes again. He is standing in the middle of a circle of investors. He insults small business owners again, specifically calling boutique operators like my daughter-in-law irrelevant to real industry. He uses me as an example of what is wrong with the new generation. The crowd laughs at his jokes. I feel Jay stiffen beside me, but he still says nothing. He just looks at his shoes. Braddock unknowingly insults the person who is currently preparing to buy his entire company. I just sip my water and watch him. I see the sweat on Braddock's forehead. He is talking louder than usual. He is trying too hard to look confident. I notice he is wearing an expensive watch, probably bought with the money he stole from his vendors. I catch the eye of one of the investors who isn't laughing. He looks at me with curiosity. He knows my business is doing well because we just won a major award for our software. Braddock is so out of touch he hasn't even noticed. I wait until Braddock walks away to get another drink. I take a deep breath and remind myself that patience is a weapon. I am the hunter, and he is the prey who thinks he is the king of the forest. I received a confidential acquisition proposal for Halloway Logistics on a Tuesday morning. It is priced far below the market value because of the financial distress. The banks are getting nervous and they want out. I stare at Braddock's company name on the document and feel no excitement, only clarity. This is no longer about survival or proving a point. It is about timing. If I move too early, Braddock will find a way to fight back. If I move too late, the company will be bankrupt and useless. I need to hit the sweet spot where he is desperate but the assets are still good. I called my lawyer to discuss the shell company I am using for the bid. We call it VP Holdings. It sounds generic enough that no one will think of Advanced Precision Solutions. I have the funds ready. I've been saving every penny from my software sales for 3 years. I also have a line of credit from a venture capital firm that believes in my vision. I am ready to sign the offer letter. I look at the family photo on my desk. Jace looks so happy in it. I feel a pang of guilt, but then I remember the dinner. I remember the mockery. I remember the forged contracts. I am doing the right thing. Jace notices my sudden interest in logistics contracts that evening. He finds some papers I left on the kitchen counter. He asks if I am planning something behind his back. I see the worry in his eyes. I calmly deflect the question, telling him it is just research for a new software module we are building. I tell him I want to understand the industry better, so I can help small businesses. He seems to believe me, but internally I realize he is starting to sense an imbalance in our marriage. He knows I am acting differently. He just doesn't yet know how deep it goes. Our dinner is quiet. Usually, he tells me about his day at Halloway Logistics, but tonight he says very little. He mentions that the atmosphere at the office is tense. He says people are worried about their jobs. He asks me if I think his father knows what he is doing. I gave him a vague answer. I don't want to lie, but I can't tell the truth. He looks at me and for a second I think he might guess it. But then he just sighs and goes back to his food. Our marriage is starting to feel like a game of chess. I hate it, but I have to protect my plan. I toured one of Halloway Logistics' warehouses the next day. I go under the guise of a supplier inspection for a small contract we have. I wear a hard hat and a safety vest, blending in with the workers. What I see is heartbreaking. I see broken systems, unpaid workers, and collapsing infrastructure. There are boxes piled up in the wrong areas. The cooling system for the food section is barely working. The manager whispers to me when he thinks no one is looking. He says they haven't had proper leadership in years. He says Braddock only cares about the stock price. I realize Braddock's empire is already failing from the inside. It isn't just a financial problem. It is a human problem. These people are scared for their families. They are working in a place that is falling apart. I take photos of the safety violations with my phone. This will be more evidence for the board when the time comes. I see a young woman crying in the break room because her paycheck was late again. I want to tell her that things will change soon. I want to tell her that a new owner is coming, but I have to stay quiet. I leave the warehouse with a heavy heart and a stronger will to succeed. Braddock is in a financial panic. My sources tell me he is urgently seeking investors to cover the next payroll. He spent the whole day calling every major firm in the city, but every firm rejects him after reviewing the declining freight performance and the debt reports. I watch from a distance as his confidence begins to crack for the first time. He stopped posting on social media about his empire. He skipped the weekly golf game. He is starting to realize that the end is near. He still doesn't know I'm already inside his system, watching every move. I see him at a distance when I pick up Jace from the office. Braddock is standing by his window, looking out at the city. He looks older than he did at the dinner. His suit doesn't seem to fit as well. He is losing weight from the stress. For a moment, I feel a tiny bit of pity, but then I remember how he called my business a hobby. I remember how he tried to make me feel small in front of his friends. The pity vanishes. He built this cage himself. He chose to lie and cheat. Now he has to live with the consequences of his choices. I drive Jace home and listen to him talk about the rumors of a buyout. I signed a preliminary agreement on Friday morning. This document gives me controlling interest options in Halloway Logistics if certain financial thresholds are breached. My lawyers have been working on this for 48 hours straight. Those thresholds are already being crossed in real time as the company's stock continues to tumble. I realize the company will legally become mine faster than anyone expects. The banks are ready to hand over the keys. They just want someone who can manage the mess. I am the only one with a plan that makes sense. I sit in my office and look at the digital signature on the screen. It feels heavy. This is the biggest move of my life. If I fail, I lose everything I have built. But my software tells me the numbers are right. I can fix the logistics routes. I can automate the warehouse tracking. I can save those jobs. I realized that being a boutique operator gave me the skills to be efficient. Braddock was too big to see the small details. I was small enough to see everything. I hit the send button on the final document. The trap is now fully set. All I have to do is wait for Braddock to fall into it. Jace is becoming more vocal about the situation at home. He insists Braddock is just going through a rough patch. He tells me that every big company has cycles of ups and downs. He asks me to stop analyzing the company because it makes him feel like I'm rooting for failure. I agree softly to keep the peace. I tell him I will focus on my own work. But secretly, I am accelerating the acquisition timeline. Our marriage begins to feel like two parallel lives. We sit on the same couch, but we're miles apart. He doesn't realize that I am the one who owns his father's debt now. Every time he defends Braddock, he is defending a man who has already lost. I feel like a liar, but I know that telling him now would cause a massive explosion. I need the legal paperwork to be finished first. I need to be in a position where I can offer Jace a job in the new company. I want us to build something together, away from his father's shadow. But for now, I have to be the silent wife. I watch him sleep and hope that he can forgive me when the truth finally comes out. Whispers start to spread through the industry that an anonymous buyer is targeting Halloway Logistics. The news hits the trade journals and the local business blogs. Braddock becomes extremely paranoid. He starts suspecting his competitors and even his former partners. He is firing people left and right because he thinks there is a spy in the office. He has no idea the buyer is already inside his own family. He thinks it is some big shark from New York. He doesn't think the daughter-in-law he mocked is capable of such a move. I hear about his meltdowns from Jace. Apparently, Braddock threw a chair in the boardroom yesterday. He is accusing everyone of betrayal. It is a sad sight. His paranoia is actually making the company fail faster. Good employees are quitting because they are tired of being yelled at. This is making my acquisition easier, but it is hurting the value of the company. I decide to move the final meeting up by 1 week. I need to stop the bleeding before there is nothing left to save. I call my brokers and tell them to reveal the offer to the board of directors tomorrow. The secret is about to be out. The hidden debts I discovered are triggered simultaneously on a Wednesday morning. This forces Halloway Logistics into emergency restructuring under the law. Braddock is trapped. The banks have frozen his personal accounts because he used them as collateral. He is forced to consider selling his controlling shares just to stay out of bankruptcy court. I quietly submitted a formal acquisition bid through VP Holdings. The bid is fair, but it is low. It reflects the true, broken state of the company. Braddock has no other options. No one else is bidding. I spent the day in a hotel room near the Halloway Logistics headquarters. I have 3 phones on the table. My lawyers are talking to the bank lawyers. My auditors are talking to the board. Everyone is shocked that VP Holdings has so much information on the company's internal failures. They realize the buyer has been watching for a long time. They don't know who is behind VP Holdings yet, but they respect the precision of the move. I feel a sense of calm. The hard work is done. Now it is just about the paperwork. I order a cup of tea and wait for the phone to ring with the board's decision. Braddock has a total breakdown in front of his staff. I hear that he lashed out at his top executives, blaming them for sabotage and incompetence. He screamed that someone must have leaked the files. He is furious that shipments are failing across multiple states because the fuel cards were declined. I watch him unravel at a distance through the reports Jace gives me at night. I remember his loud laughter at the dinner table. I remember how he made everyone feel small. He is experiencing the same humiliation he gave to others. He still hasn't recognized me as the threat. He thinks I am at home, probably worrying about my hobby. Jace tells me that his father called me a sweet girl who doesn't understand the war of business. It is almost funny. While he is calling me sweet, I am signing the documents that will take his office away. I realized that Braddock's biggest weakness was his ego. He couldn't imagine that a woman like me could be smarter than him. He underestimated me, and that was his final mistake. I prepare my suit for the board meeting tomorrow. It is time to step into the light. Jace learns something small that almost ruins everything. He discovers my name listed in a minor stakeholder filing for an insurance document. He becomes very suspicious. He comes home and confronts me in the kitchen. He asks why I am involved in logistics acquisitions. I can see the hurt in his eyes. He feels like I have been keeping secrets, which I have. I tell him it is just consulting for a client of mine. I tell him I am helping a group evaluate the industry. I see doubt forming for the first time. He doesn't go back to his usual happy self. He stays up late, looking at his laptop. I know he is searching for VP Holdings. I hope my lawyers did a good job hiding the connection. I feel the tension in the house like a physical weight. Our marriage is at a breaking point. I want to tell him everything, but I am so close to the finish line. I decide to sleep on the guest bed, telling him I have a headache. The truth is, I can't look at him right now. I feel like a villain in his story, even though I am trying to save our future. I just need one more day. Braddock receives my formal acquisition offer on Thursday morning. His reaction is pure outrage. He calls it insulting and trash from unknown buyers who don't know the value of his name. He refuses the offer immediately without even reading the whole thing. He thinks he can still find a better deal. But that refusal triggers a specific clause in the debt agreement I bought. It weakens his negotiating position even further by increasing the interest rates on the loans. He is literally making himself poorer with every minute he waits. His lawyers try to tell him to be calm, but he won't listen. He thinks he is still in charge. He doesn't realize that the banks have already given VP Holdings the power to take over if he doesn't sign by the end of the day. I am sitting in a coffee shop across the street from his office. I can see the lights on in the boardroom. I see the silhouettes of people pacing back and forth. I know they are arguing. I know they are scared. I feel a strange sense of peace. I have done my part. The rest is up to him. The collapse accelerates on Friday. Key suppliers terminate their contracts with Halloway Logistics because of the missed payments I tracked. Trucks begin sitting idle across multiple depots in 4 different states. The company is literally standing still. Braddock is forced into emergency board meetings every hour. I attend the afternoon session as an observer for the creditors. I sit in the back of the room with a mask on and a hat pulled low. Braddock is too busy screaming at his CFO to notice me. He looks like a ghost of the man he used to be. The board members are whispering to each other. They're looking at the offer from VP Holdings again. They realize it is the only way to avoid a total bankruptcy that would leave them with nothing. Braddock is still shouting about loyalty and tradition. But business doesn't care about tradition when the bank account is empty. I see one board member shake his head in disgust. They're losing millions every hour. They are ready to vote against Braddock. I realize that the real empire builders he toasted are the ones currently voting to kick him out of his own building. During a crisis meeting at 4 p.m., I am formally introduced as the lead potential buyer. I stand up from the back of the room and walk to the front. I take off my hat and my mask. Braddock finally recognizes my name and my face. His expression shifts from confusion to disbelief to silent rage. He looks at me like I am a monster. The entire room goes quiet. For the first time in his life, he has no control in the room. He opens his mouth to speak, but no words come out. He just stares. I look him in the eye. I don't feel angry. I just feel focused. I lay out the plan for the company. I show them how Vance Precision Solutions will integrate with Halloway Logistics to create a modern, efficient system. I show them the funding I have secured. The board members are nodding. They're impressed by the detail. Braddock is shaking his head, but no one is looking at him. They're all looking at me. I am the one with the answers now. I am the boutique operator who just outplayed the industry giant. It is a moment of pure clarity. Jace confronts me privately in the hallway after the meeting. He asks if I planned all of this while being his wife. He looks heartbroken. He feels like our whole marriage was a lie. I tell him the truth. I tell him I planned nothing. His father created the conditions himself. I tell him about the forged contracts and the hidden debts. I tell him I found the problems because of my software, and I tried to ignore them until Braddock insulted me. I tell him I am saving the company so he still has a job and a legacy.
He looks at me for a long time.
I see the struggle in his eyes. He loves his father, but he can't deny the facts I've presented. He walks away unsure whether to defend me or his father. I let him go. I know he needs time to process everything. I go back into the boardroom to finish the negotiations. Braddock is sitting in the corner, staring at the wall. He looks like he has aged 10 years in 10 minutes. I feel a twinge of sadness for Jace, but I know that I had to do this. The truth is always better than a lie. The company's valuation drops to a tiny fraction of its original worth overnight as the news of the board's fight leaks. Braddock is advised by his own lawyers to accept my offer immediately or face personal bankruptcy. He refuses again out of pride, not logic. He says he would rather lose everything than sell to that girl. It is a pathetic display. He is willing to destroy the lives of thousands of employees just to protect his ego. The board is now moving to strip him of his voting rights. I spent the night in my office, drinking cold coffee and looking at the final documents. I don't want to see Braddock fail this hard, but he is giving me no choice. I have to be strong for the people who work there. If he doesn't sign, the company closes on Monday morning. I sent one last message to his lawyer. I tell him the offer is on the table until 9 a.m. After that, I withdraw and the company dies. I am playing hardball because it is the only language Braddock understands. I hope he cares more about his employees than his pride. At another family gathering that Saturday, which was supposed to be a birthday party, Braddock tries to regain dominance. He tries mocking the aggressive new investors in front of the extended family. He doesn't realize that everyone in the room now knows I am one of them. The news has spread through the family grapevine. I remain silent as tension fills the room like static electricity. My mother-in-law is crying in the kitchen. The cousins are whispering. Braddock is the only one still acting like he is the king. He looks at me and says, "I hope you're happy with your little games, Naomi." I don't respond. I just look at Jace. Jace finally stands up. He looks at his father and tells him to stop. He tells him that he saw the files. He tells him that he knows about the forgery. The room goes dead silent. Braddock looks at his son like he has been stabbed. Jace tells him that I am the only reason he isn't in jail already. It is a powerful moment. I realize that Jace has finally chosen the truth over his father's lies. Jace discovers the complete acquisition structure on Sunday morning. He realizes I will become the majority owner if the deal closes tomorrow. He sits in shock in our living room, finally understanding the scale of everything he once dismissed. His loyalty to his father's empire begins to fracture completely. He looks at my computer screen and sees the thousands of jobs I am trying to save. He sees the plans for the new warehouses. He realizes that I wasn't attacking his family. I was trying to preserve what was left of it. He comes over to me and takes my hand. He apologizes for not listening to me sooner. He says he was blinded by his father's personality. He asks me what he can do to help. I tell him I need him to talk to the warehouse managers. I need them to know that their paychecks are coming. I need them to trust the new leadership. He nods and gets his coat. For the first time in months, we are working together. I feel a surge of hope. Our marriage might actually survive this. We are no longer two parallel lives. We are a team again. Braddock is finally forced into bankruptcy proceedings on Monday morning. The only exit is signing the sale agreement under intense court pressure. His hands shake as he realizes I am the buyer finalizing his company's survival. He is in a small room with his lawyers and the judge. I am sitting across from him. He looks at the pen, then at me. I see the hate in his eyes, but I also see the defeat. He realizes that he has no more moves left. He signs the paper. He throws the pen on the table and walks out without saying a word. He is a broken man. The company is now mine. I feel a massive weight lift off my shoulders. I look at the judge and thank him. My lawyers are smiling. We did it. I call Jace and tell him the news. He sounds relieved. I go to the restroom and splash cold water on my face. I look at myself in the mirror. I don't look like a boutique operator anymore. I look like the CEO of Halloway Logistics. It is a new day, and I am ready for it. I officially became the owner of Halloway Logistics on Tuesday morning. I am standing in the same boardroom where I was once humiliated. Braddock's chair is empty. The board members are waiting for me to speak. Braddock avoids my gaze as he cleans out his office down the hall. Jace watches in silence from the back of the room, a small smile on his face. I announce the operational restructuring. It is not about revenge. It is about restoration. I tell them we are going to be honest, efficient, and kind. As I walked out of the building later that day, I realized the real victory was never the company. It was never about the money or the title. It was about never needing to shout while proving my worth. I proved that the small business mindset is actually the strongest one. I proved that truth and hard work win in the end. I see Jace waiting for me by the car. He gives me a hug and says he is proud of me. I look up at the Halloway Logistics sign. I know that soon it will say Vance Precision Logistics. I smile and get in the car. We have a lot of work to do.